All right, guys, so you should see the recording icon come up on the screen. So I want to say welcome back to the second session for our Monday night class. This is the CRN 23159. And I did ask people um, to download the. All right, so we have some people returning. Welcome back, Nicholas. All right, so I did ask people to download a particular um, document from the e-classroom. So first off, let's go to the e-classroom so that people can see what's going on. Minimize this. Let me make these a little bigger. So ours is 5.9. So this is our class here. So you should have been enrolled in this class already, and you're going to see a couple of things that you're going to need to download. I would say that you want to download these two textbooks here, the course outline. Let's skip off on the personality tests for the hour. You could download and look at the course concept map, but you definitely want to get this course schedule with assignment dates on it, which we're going to be looking at. The eClassroom also has the link that is going to be active for the entire semester for our meetings. So if you miss out on the e- on the WhatsApp that I'm sending out with the link, you can always get it from here. And of course, to join the WhatsApp chat, this is the link here to join the chat as well. So please, if you haven't already, please join the chat so that you can be part of the communication that's happening. Now, in terms of session recordings, you'd notice that there's not much to the class just yet, and you would see why in a little bit. There are a couple of PowerPoints here that you can download and look at, and these are related to the sessions that we're having. There's the assignment submission section where you have these assignments that are going to be put in. Of course, we have a debate activity that we'll discuss a little in more depth later on. And then, of course, this last section here is called student chapter presentations, where there is nothing at this point in time, and we'll understand why. So once you've downloaded those things, there's not much, as I said, on the e-classroom just yet. So you'll when you start to see what's happening, you'll understand what's taking place across the board. So this is the document I asked people to download. Let me make this larger. Everybody's seeing this clearly now, right?
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay. So this is detailing a fair amount of information, including all my email addresses, my phone contact, in the event that you're trying to get in contact with me. Um, these are ways in which to get in contact with me. Um, and of course, the WhatsApp chat group is definitely something, and you have my number there, so you can always message me privately if there's an issue or something. So this schedule of activities is related to the assessments that we are going to be taking part in the class for the rest of the semester. We'll get to that in a little bit. So you'd notice that I have dates for everything set up already. Um, and we're going to go through that at this point in time. So the first assessment is something called group chapter presentations. So in small groups, in our case here, we have 10 chapters to present, and I'm going to place you all in groups of 3 for each chapter that you're going to be presenting from the textbooks that I've indicated there. As you present, you are, well, I shouldn't say present, you basically, what you're all going to be doing is in the course of this presentation, you're going to be teaching the chapter to the rest of the class so that there's a certain degree of interaction. So you'd see that the marks are allocated accordingly to the content of the presentation, which is the content coverage, the use of examples and explanation, the clarity of your explanations, the appropriate recommendations that you make, and using a conclusion in your presentation that amounts to 60%. Then we have somebody else coming back into the class. Admit Jada. Welcome back, Jada. Then we have style of delivery. For 25 marks, style of delivery, quality and degree of class participation and interaction, the use of your presentation aids, and your ability to manage your time, and of course, citation, 15%. So that's how your group presentations will be assessed. This first assessment will count for 30% of your final grade. Any questions on this? People kind of understand what they're doing?
So Mr. Bisu, it's a presentation and we're not presenting. We don't have to deliver paper. It's
No,
just
there's
a
no paper to
presentation.
present, but what you are going to be doing is you're going to be submitting your PowerPoint to me as evidence of your presentation, and I'm going to be recording your presentations.
Okay,
All
sure.
right. Um, and what happens is right after you finish presenting, I'll be giving you immediate feedback as to how you performed in terms of this marking system here, so you'd know where you stand in terms of your presentation. That makes sense?
Okay. Yes.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay. So the second assessment speaks to a debate exercise. That's 15%. This will not be taking place until later in the semester, more or less down to the end where we close off the semester. These are the topics we'll be debating, and we have to make arrangements for that whole debating process to take place. So we'll be working on that as we move through the semester. Um, Assessment 3 is a midterm exercise. So after we finish some content of the class, I'm going to release some questions for you to do some analysis and reflections based upon 3 short response questions that you're going to be doing on your own and submitting, and this will be for 20% of the marks. Um, Assessment 4 is something you can start almost immediately. Assessment 4 is called self-analysis. So again, you are going to be reflecting on who you are and how you've become the person you are today. So you're going to be doing a sort of autobiography of yourself and using these kind of questions here to kind of guide you through the whole process of evaluating yourself and reflecting on who you are and why you are the person you are today. Of course, this takes time to do, so this assignment is already open for you to follow. In terms of how marks are allocated, each of the guided questions that is given from 1 to 6 has some marks inclusive of an introduction and a conclusion, because with anything, there's always going to be an introduction and conclusion. And then I've allocated 20 marks towards use of language and the organization of your document. So use of language will include your grammar, punctuation, spelling, sentence construction, and word. That's 10 marks there. Word selection, sorry. And the organization of your document in terms of the use of your font, double line spacing, a title page, page numbers, and contents page if necessary. So once you pass 3 pages, 3 to 4 pages, you need to put in a title page and a contents page for any assignment. And this I expect should be a fairly substantive piece of assignment or piece of writing that you should be working on. And this is about all about you. So you notice there's no already citation mark because I don't expect that you'll be sourcing any documents for this. But if you do, for whatever reason, you might be utilizing some source documents to help you with generating your own autobiography. Please use the appropriate APA format citation for your document. All right. That then takes us to the last assessment, which is assessment 5. For 15%, it's reflections on the leadership action plan. These again are questions that are guided, that are asking you in a manner to guide you through doing some reflections for the class. Now, the first question is a question that I already asked you all. As you commence this course, reflect on what your expectations of the course, what are your expectations of the course, your lecturer, and yourself. So this question is based on the first thing that I asked all of you all to reflect on in the classroom when we were doing introductions. So I'm asking you all to actually start documenting your response to a question like this. So the idea would be set up a file where you can begin this assignment because you can't complete this assignment until the course is finished. So this is probably the last thing that you're going to be writing up. because the rest of the questions are at the end of the course reflect on how your expectations that you identified in the first part of the questions here were either satisfied or not satisfied, and if so, how so, that kind of thing. All right, describe what you've learned about yourself during the semester. Reflect on what you see as your leadership strengths and weaknesses. Describe the leadership philosophy you've developed throughout the class, and how has it changed from the start of the class to now. Somebody else coming back in. Hi Jada, welcome back. You seem to be having some challenges there. So as you'd realize, this last reflection and leadership action plan is something that can only take place after you've completed all of the content of the class. And again, a similar marking scheme, marks for the introduction and conclusion, as well as marks for each of the questions being responded to in its entirety and with some degree of completion. And again, marks for your use of language and marks for your how you've set up your document, fonts, line spacing, and so on. All right. Any question on those things so far?
Yes, just to clarify,
Mm-hmm.
do you expect to see it the questions presented in order? So are we
Well,
going one family
you
history and then
yeah,
writing underneath?
it'll be easier to do that way because it'll be much easier for you to because the questions are laid out in an order that kind of helps you to put things in perspective. So the guide of the questions that are there is to kind of help you put things in place. So if you follow the order, it should help to make your reflections as well as your self-analysis um, a bit more streamlined,
Okay.
if that makes sense, right? I think somebody else
Actually,
want. Yes, go ahead.
yes, sir, Nicholas.
Yes, Nick.
Two questions, sir.
Uh-huh.
The first question is the what the presentation, would it be that we making like individual videos and sending it to you?
No, no.
Oh,
We'll get to that now. All
oh,
right.
okay. And the second question is the part where you're self-reflecting and stuff like that and writing about your experiences.
Right.
You alone seeing that?
Yes.
Okay, because that kind of, I was saying that kind of
Very
personal.
private. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so, okay, no problem. Well, if it's you alone, it's not a problem.
Well, in fact, all of the assignments in this class you would recognize are all going to have elements of very personal reflection and analysis that I'm going to ask of you. And as a result, I'm going to ensure that there are no breaches in the confidentiality of your documents. Suffice it to say, there are some people who, in reflecting on their past life, speak about things that can be,
Yes, so I was thinking that could I have some personal stuff there I didn't want everybody to know.
Of course, I understand. And for you to really do a good self-analysis, it requires being truthful to yourself more than anything else. And if you are in a significant relationship with somebody, that is a kind of document that you can probably share with them, um, if you feel comfortable enough to share. That is. So you need to be mindful of that as well, because not everybody is going to be willing to share these things. But of course, my concern is when I read it, I'm going to read it from the level of evaluating how deep your analysis and reflections are, how complete it is. Um, I'm not going to be judging you in terms of what may have happened in the past in your lives, but help you with the exercise of moving forward from there to become, the kind of person you want to be. All right. Any other questions in relation to those assignments?
Yes, sir. For
Yes.
the self-analysis, would there
Uh-huh.
be a word limit?
Nope. None of these assignments have word limits for the
Okay,
simple
thank you.
reason that one person's history as opposed to another person's history can be widely dis- uh, there can be wide dispersions, and therefore placing a limit on them is not synonymous with the way in which reflections work. Reflections require latitude and depth. All right. And if you really want to bring this to bear, and I'll talk about this when we start to look at the chapters themselves, you'd recognize that these uh, these exercises are difficult in the sense that you are going to be asked to confront yourself in a analytical manner, and that can be challenging because a lot of people, most of us, we're very quick to criticize ourselves, but we are really poor when it comes to trying to find, the better elements of ourselves. So it's something that I believe you should take into, um, take it seriously and try and do the reflections the way it ought to be done so that it will be of a benefit to you. So you'd recognize that in no way or form are there any exams in this class. Everything is going to be, there are deadlines, of course, and those deadlines are going to be based upon, just the nitty-gritty of the mechanics of how the semester works. But in terms of limits to the amount of words for any of the assignments, no, none of them have a limitation on that. Okay, but we unfortunately do have to put some time limits in terms of when assignments can be submitted and so on. All right, so you'd recognize that the first three sessions of the class, besides this one on the 29th, which is today, the 5th, the 19th, and the 26th of February, I am going to be dealing with them, presenting units chapters 1 to 3. Then, and that is from the main textbook from the e-classroom. That's this one, Exploring Leadership Text. All right. Now, the rest of the chapters are not then going to be presented to the class in terms of, well, I should say presented, but be discovered with the class with groups of 3 dealing with the various chapters moving on from my chapter 3. So you go with chapter 4, understanding self, chapter 5, understanding others, chapter 6, integrity and moral purpose, chapter 7, teams and groups. Then we switch over to the other textbook, that is the DAFT leadership experience, and then we're going to deal with courage and moral leadership, which is similar to the chapter 6 from the previous group presentation 3 here. This is from the DAFT. Then we go back to the other textbook, the leadership experience, being in communities, complex organizations. Then we go back to the DAFT and we deal with vision and strategic direction. Then we deal with power and influence from the DAFT, and then leading change closes off the presentations. So we expect by the 8th of April we should be finished with our with all our presentations. The midterm exercise will start from the 18th of March and run to the 8th of April. So they kind of run concurrently with each other, all right? We expect that our debate will take place on the 22nd of April because school or classes end on April 28th. I don't know if you have the academic calendar, but the academic calendar is showing us that classes end on the 28th of April. All right, and there are a couple of holidays in between that we have to take into consideration. So for example, I don't know if any of you all are familiar with this, but we close for Carnival. So we close Carnival Friday on the 9th and we reopen on the 15th of February. So we close from the 9th to the 14th. So you have a bit of a midterm break there. The reason for that break, of course, is because in the past we found it useless to run classes during Carnival because it interferes with everybody's trend of thought and thinking and that kind of stuff, because you can't be in a class and everybody fetting around you, right? That makes sense. All right. And then I put a final deadline for the submission of all of the self-analysis and the action and leadership and action plan, the 18th of May. That's well after classes have ended, April, May, and I have a grade input deadline of the 26th of May. Again, this coming the from the academic calendar here. All right. Now, it means therefore I'm giving you some extra time after the end of classes to complete some of the exercises, some of the assignments, and submit them into the e-classroom. Again, all assignments are to be submitted there um, after the fact. So far, everybody's following the dates and deadlines for these things.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Pay attention to these dates. So the first of the dates we need to pay attention to would be you'd recognize that for every day of class that we have student presentations taking place, you'd see 2 chapters per presentation, which means that each group will have an hour and a half to present their chapter in. That makes sense? Now, some groups may take all of the time, and other groups may take a little, some portion of that time. That is simply going to be dependent upon the length of the chapter and the intensity of the material in the chapter. Some chapters are more intense than others. All right, and just to be on the safe side, let's have a look at the textbooks that we're using. Let me go to my text. Let me open these so that you can see what they look like. So this is the I think this is what this text looks like, the Exploring Leadership. Somebody's mic is open and it's making a lot of noise. Thank you. All right, and these are the chapters that we were talking about in terms of what's going to be presented. So you recognize that I am going to be dealing with part 1 of the textbook, chapters 1, 2, and 3. All right, and then part 2 is some of the areas that you all are going to be presenting: understanding yourself, understanding others, leading with integrity and moral purpose, interacting with teams, understanding complex organizations, and being in communities. Up to chapter 9 is going to be presented from here. And from the DAFT textbook, there is going to be a couple of presentations. Just to be on the safe side, you'll recognize that we are looking at chapter, where are we? Chapter 6, moral courage and moral leadership. That's this area here. All right. Hate this this reader. Then we're leading teams and all this stuff. We're going to use the other textbook. Then we're looking at creating vision and strategic direction. That comes from here. Then we have leading change, and we should have leadership, power, and influence coming from this area here as well. So the 2 textbooks are going to work with each other in tandem for us to be able to look at various aspects of leadership and how it's dealt with from both a business perspective as well as from the model that we're going to be looking at from the main textbook, which is this textbook here. The key textbook is really this one, Exploring Leadership by Comives, Lucas, and Mahon. All right, that's the main text we're going to be utilizing for the sessions. And this second book is really to add some of the business aspect, because DAFT is more of a business leadership program than the other one. All right. So every week then, following from the 26th of February, we would have the 4th of March. We will have 2 groups presenting. Then on the 11th of March, we will have another 2 groups presenting chapter 6 and chapter 7 from the main text. Then the 18th of March, we will have the DAFT, the first chapter from the DAFT, chapter 6, and then chapter 9 from the regular textbook. So you'd see the difference here where you'd see the DAFT being next to the text to tell you which ones are from the DAFT textbook as opposed to those that are from the main textbook. So you'd see that there are 4 chapters from the DAF that we'll be going to look at augmenting the content from the other chapters. So you see all the dates here. So now what we want to do is we want to get people to volunteer for various presentations. This is where things get tricky.
Actually, sir, I want to ask you something, sir.
Yep, fine.
So that means some groups will have more time to prepare than others?
Not necessarily. Everybody's going to have, well, yeah, without a doubt, yes. But I mean, y'all will not be presenting until the 4th of March, which gives everybody, if we assign dates today, it gives at least those people at least a month from now to be able to get ready. That makes sense? That's why we're going to set groups up tonight.
Okay, sir.
Right? So I don't know what you're talking about, Nicholas, is that some people might have an unfair advantage over others, but that's not really going to be the case, as you will see. So what I'm looking for is that we should have 27 people here in class, well, 26 people in class today, and we want to assign them to various chapters. Now, the topics of the chapters should give you an indication of what the chapters are about. We have 3 people who are not here today, so that doesn't help our cause, but we will try to assign them with people. Like, anybody knows a Dion Brown? Anybody familiar with that name? Mahindra Harinarayan, I've met him before. He's a reasonable guy. I don't know if anybody's aware of him or worked with him before. And Brandon Owen looks like a new student. Based on the number, well, not really that new. He's 7.2, not 7.7. All right. So if you're familiar with them, but I want to give people who are here a chance to volunteer themselves for different chapters to present, which is why I was asking you all to, download this document. Once we start to fill in names, I'll PDF the document so we don't go messing it up, and put it back into the e-classroom as an updated file. Any questions? Right? Who's I? So I can't see any names. Crystal who?
Ramsa.
Right. So Miss Ramsuk, what do you volunteer for?
Chapter 1. Well, presentation 1 straight up.
Understanding self? All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Crystal, you need 2 other people to be with you.
Next
I will go with presentation.
Okay, so I'm hearing multiple names. Salary, was it?
Yes.
You wanted to go where?
Chapter 4, understanding self.
Understandings. Oh, right. Okay, with Crystal.
Yes.
Right. So you realize you'll have to reach out to Crystal for that, right?
Yes.
All right. Who
So
else?
Nicholas, Lauren, and Justin would
Right.
do understanding others.
Nicholas.
Lauren here with Justin Mahipat.
You all want to do?
Understanding others.
All right. That's presentation 5. All right.
Mr. Bisu, how many teams per group?
How many
I
people?
mean, how many? Yeah.
3 people. 3 people. Hold on. Let me get Nicholas and them in this thing first. Copy. Nicholas Harewood. And Justin Mahipat. All right. All right. Anybody else wants to join presentation? Yes?
I'd like to join the first presentation with Crystal.
All right. Who's this?
Shirin Rupnarayan.
Rupnarayan. Okay. Copy. Paste there. All righty then. Okay. So presentations 1 and 2 are locked. Right.
So Renee, Christopher, and Nicolette would like to do presentation 5.
All right. So Renee has a surname.
Sohan.
Sohan. Presentation 5.
Yes.
Daft. Courage and moral leadership.
Yes.
So that's Sohan, who again?
Christopher Maraj.
Maharaj, Christopher. These are the radiology folks, right? And
Yes.
who again?
Nicolette
Christopher
Lalchan.
Lalchan. Wow,
Mr.
okay.
Bisu,
Yes.
Nicoyan Rollins, presentation 3, integrity and moral purpose.
All right, so you want that one. Rollins, anybody wants to join Rollins in chapter presentation 3?
Yes,
So who
Michael,
said
you
that?
can.
Michael said he can join as well. All right, okay. The first heavy voice that came. Who was that heavy
Michael
voice?
McKenzie. Michael
Michael
McKenzie.
Mackenzie. All right.
Gonzalez.
And Gonzalez. All right, okay, hold up, selector, pull up. Only joining Miss Rollins, right?
No problem.
Yes.
All right. So that's Mackenzie and Gonzalez.
Yes, sir.
All right, okay, so that's locked down as well. All right, cool. So
And the dates in red, those are the dates that we are presenting, right?
yes, those are the dates you're presenting.
Okay.
And Nikita Smith with teams and
Who? All right, who was that?
Jaquita Smith.
Smith. Teams and groups.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would also like
I can do
Tasha Lewis.
as well.
All right. The person who was speaking there was who?
Natasha Lewis.
Natasha Lewis.
All
All right. Of course you can. Who you want to join?
Presentation 4.
Who's this?
Alias here.
Sunarine. Okay. Aaliyah. Copy. Lewis. All right. Okay.
Sir, I'd like to do presentation 6.
6, being in communities. And your name is Andrew, right? Okay.
So I will join him for 6.
Who's that?
Janelle Daniels.
Janelle, Daniel, George. Okay, cool. All right. Anybody else? Anyway, go ahead. Let's see what people. Remember, we still have a couple other chapters too.
Hi, sir. Can I?
All right. So the first person who was speaking, whose name is that?
Chelsea.
Say again. Sorry.
Chelsea.
Mohan. All right. What chapter?
12.
12 or chapter or presentation 9? Chelsea?
Yeah.
Presentation 9?
Yeah.
All right, okay. That's power and influence. Okay, somebody else was trying to get assigned. Who was that?
Can I get presentation 7, please?
Who's this?
Arwen.
Ram Logan. Owen. Okay. Presentation, what you said? 7?
Yes, sir. Presentation 7.
All right. Complex organizations. All right, cool.
This one.
Okay, the first person who was speaking, who was that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta give me your surname. Okay, I'm not hearing you clearly.
This is Jada Sampson. I'd like to do presentation 7.
All right, along with Miss Ram Logan.
Yes, sir.
Right, okay. And the second person who was talking, who was that?
So Swan Marvel. Presentation 9.
Presentation 9 with Miss Chelsea.
Yes.
All righty then. Okay. Anybody else who's here?
Hi, sir. This is Dipchan Risha. I would like to do presentation 9 as well. Thank you.
Dipchan, presentation 9. All right, so
Yes,
that
sir.
that grouping is set up there. All right, okay, we still have presentation 8 and 10 to get some folks into, and then there's some room in 6 and 7. All right, who's here? Who else? Can I put Brown with you, Miss Ramlogan and Miss Thompson? Oh, but before I do that, let me give people who are present a chance. Clark hasn't done anything yet. Mona Lisa, is she here? I'm not sure if she's still here with us. It's kind of like part of the problem. Right. And there was somebody who was at a practice session. Maybe she's unable to tell us anything at this point. Okay, so who hasn't been assigned to a group yet?
I haven't as yet.
All right, so who's I?
Mishka.
All right, Mishka
Garaway.
Garaway. Okay. All right. So, what chapter you think you'd be interested in working with? You still have space in 6, 7, 8, and 10.
Being in community.
With Daniel and Hero. All right.
That's
Okay.
good.
Yeah, that could work. You'll just have to get together and start to organize.
Okay.
Remember, guys, she is in a different country.
Oh, would that be a problem for
Nope,
this particular
nope,
topic?
nope.
Okay.
It will bring a nice or an interesting perspective to the discussion, though, because you could bring in your experiences from where you are in terms of communities there, as opposed to communities here in Trinidad and Tobago. All right, because even the difference between Trinidad and Tobago is significant, much less between ourselves and another country. All right, who else hasn't assigned themselves somewhere? Um, let's see. Clark had, yes? Who's that?
Ronald.
Joseph. Where would you like to go?
Anyone?
Anyone? Okay, I'll set you up with strategic vision and direction. All right, and hopefully some other folks will come in with you. All right, all right, that's you. Who else hasn't? Is Miss Lewis here? Natasha? Yeah, she's already assigned. Mirage, Mahipat. Mirage is assigned. Mackenzie is assigned. Melville is assigned. Mohan. Nesta, have you assigned yourself anywhere? Is she here? Anybody else who's here that hasn't assigned themselves anywhere yet? Wow, there's so many people rushing. Anyway, let me just do some checking here and see what's going on. All right, so I'm going to put Mona Lisa with Jada and Thompson. She may not be here right now, but you all could reach out in the WhatsApp chat to get each other in the thing. I'm gonna put Brown with Joseph. Is there anybody who's here right now and they haven't assigned themselves anywhere? Okay, I'm gonna put Clark down in group 10. And he still needs 2, so we running out of folks here. Heinarine, copy Heinarine into group 8. So, Miss Joseph, you have some reaching out to do, okay, with Mahindra and Brown, Dion. I don't know. I don't think Dion's actually. We're gonna have to pay attention to that moving forward. Owen Brandon, I am going to put with Clark.
Well, sir, you can probably put on us with me because I've did this before.
Who's that speaking?
Run out. I've wrote it on us about that.
Okay, let me then move Harry Narayan out from you. Put him down at the end here, and put Onessa with you. Copy. I think that's everybody. You've worked with her before, you said.
Yes.
All right,
Well,
so that's supposed to be everybody, but let me just check and make sure that everybody's been assigned to a chapter. Hello? 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 Okay. Okay, so this might take a little bit of doing. Brown has been assigned. Yes. Mona Lisa has been assigned. Alright, so Brown. Alright, here's Mona Lisa. Alright. So Brown has been assigned. Mona has been assigned. Clark, I think I put him in the last group. Daniel, George, Janelle, right, she's in 6. Dipchan is in right, 9. Okay, actually do this better. This, wow, that was dumb. Let's insert bad. Right, so Brown is in. All right, let's do this from the front here. Ramsuk is 1. Salvery is 1. And Rupnarain is 1. Alright, so then we have 2 is George. George Harewood. And my part. That's 2. And 3 we have Rollins. Oops. 3 Rollins, Mackenzie, Gonzalez. And 4 we have Smith, Lewis, and Sunarain. 5 we have Sohan, Maharaj, and Lalchan. 6 we have Hira, Daniel George, and Garaway. 6 and 7 we have Ram Logan, Thompson. And Bucks. 8, we have Joseph Brown and Nestor. 9, we have Mohan, Melville, and John. And 10, we have Clark, Owen, and Harry. Right. All right. Everybody's assigned to a group. Good. Just save that. All right. So just to be on the safe side, I will do 2 things with this file. I will PDF it and I will submit it into the e-classroom. Now that we have assigned people. Now what can happen is that between now and the period for our drop, we can have some changes to registration. So our drop finishes on the 11th of February, so we still have time for people to leave class and new people to come in, that kind of stuff. So hopefully we won't have too much changes in this class so the groupings won't get affected. But I will update this file to reflect the changes that we've made. So let me save this and file, save as documents. This is Monday class, so I want to save this as a PDF so that we don't mess it up. Good. PDF this, and I will also save it here, just to be on the safe side. I'm going to put it into the e-classroom now. I'm going to update this link here so you all can all get it. Turn editing on. Right, that brings us to edit settings. So delete this, and I will select that. Right, so that has been updated with the schedules and the dates. Now also with the group assignments as well, or the groupings assigned. I will also put this into the group chat. Oh, good, look, people are setting up their little group chats. Great, fantastic. I will put this in also here so that you guys can get it from either section. But again, I'll put it in as a PDF, all right? Right, so, all right. Okay, so we've come more or less to the end of what I was hoping to do tonight. Anybody has any other questions they want to ask? So my advice to you would be to to start by reading your chapters so that you can get a good idea of what your chapters are. Now, it is important that the chapters are presented in order, because as with any textbook, one chapter affects the outcome of another chapter and so on. So it is out of necessity we need to keep the sequence correct, because one chapter leads to the other, and therefore there's information from the chapter previously or chapters previously that impact upon the chapters that's coming up. That makes sense? So it's important for us to not miss our days, and we don't have a lot of leeway because of the amount of we don't have a lot of leeway because of the amount of holiday breaks we have in this semester, because besides the break for Carnival, we also have breaks for Easter and stuff that is going to affect our presentation schedules and stuff like that. Okay, so and then we have Easter Monday is going to affect us. That's April the 1st, which is one of the reasons why we have to kind of push things around a little bit. All right, and online classes are a little more challenging to do makeup sessions with, because I'm teaching every day of the week. So if we have to do a makeup session, it'll have to be a weekend, which I know you all already have your stuff set up for things like that. All right, any questions? Anybody wants to see anything else?
Yes, I just
go ahead.
Just want to ask, during the presentation, I know that you're going to be judging us on giving us marks accordingly,
evaluating you, yes.
Evaluating, but also group, without the group, we also asking us questions based on the presentation.
Well, based upon your presentations, what I would suggest is that you can use questions as part of your techniques. So as opposed to, you know how basically groups come up there and they present and they read off their sections and whatnot. All right, so there's going to be a fair amount of reading because of the amount of content that's going to be dealt with. But what I'm looking for is there's a difference between presenting and teaching. So you're teaching the chapters. You're not just presenting the chapters. You're teaching the chapters. And that teaching process is important because there's a little difference in terms of that. So asking questions for clarification along the way to ensure that somebody understands, or the group people are understanding what you all are presenting, is kind of critical. You can also put in little exercises inside of your activities that would indicate whether or not the ideas are being understood, and also to add some variety to the activities that's going on. You understand what I'm talking about? Sometimes a little quiz, or you ask a couple of questions of one or two people in the classes. And remember, part of your marks is also for audience interaction or class interaction. So as people who are not presenting, you all also have to play a role in other people's presentations. It can't be only one direction. One of the worst things that happens on an online class is that I do a lot of talking and I get no feedback. That lack of feedback is, for want of a better word, is discouraging to somebody, because that lack of feedback tends to be isolating in nature. All right. So as much as possible, you're trying to encourage people to give you feedback and to give you some responses to the questions and the issues that you're going to be bringing up in your presentations. So it's a little more, or goes beyond just presenting. It's a teaching element. All right, that helps, Mr. McKenzie.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Rollins, I see your mic is open. You wanted to ask something?
Yes. But I don't know if I'm jumping the gun again, but is the same group would be for the debate?
No, the debate. All right, so let's talk about the debate as well, as I'm still recording. The debate is going to be made up of totally different makeup of groups, but yes, groups are going to be involved. Because of the size of the class, each group will be 10 strong. All right, and we will be debating 2 of the topics of the 3 that are there. The teams will be subdivided, each group of 10 will be subdivided into subgroups of 5 apiece, with each 5 taking part in one of the debate topics. You have the team for and the team against dealing with those topics. So 5 by 5 will be dealing with that. So the 3 groups are the for, which will be the government, the against, which will be the opposition, and the third team is the mediating team. They will be running the exercise. Now they can choose to keep the 10 together as one group, or they can choose to subdivide and create 2 separate groups. But the better move there is to keep the group of 10 going, because of the amount of functions that the team that is running the debate would have to take place, because they will be actually acting the part of the Speaker of the House. So they would be, I think, Rollins, we did a debate before, or you?
No, I did one debate, but
not with a mediating team.
Not with your courses. It was a previous course.
Yeah, but my point being, what structure did it
Oh
take?
no, there was no mediating.
Right. So for me, this is a practical class in leadership and leadership exercises and integrity and ethics. So the difference here is that you guys are going to run that entire event, including assessing each other.
Okay.
So we're going to be talking a lot about leadership and ethics and ethical values and moral values and stuff. So I'm going to give you all an opportunity to put all of those things in, because you all are going to be facing a huge dilemma when you are taking part in a debate activity, because the debaters will evaluate the mediators and the mediators will evaluate the debaters. So can we do that? Are we mature enough to deal with that? Do we have the ethical values and standards to do it? I am not doing anything. Whatever they decide in terms of your scores, that's the end of it. Now, how do you just give everybody full marks?
I typically do that, yes.
What? Typically you do that?
Yeah, I typically just give everybody full marks. Not this
Right.
time.
So we know where you have no ethical values whatsoever.
I guess not.
So
I never thought it like that though.
Oh, you didn't think that's part that. So what stops a lecturer from just giving everybody full marks in your other classes?
Well, I am not a lecturer.
Right, but if you are
No, if
going
I
to
were a
be,
lecturer, that would be different, but
no, but it's
I am
not.
just.
But that's the whole point. It is not, and that's
Okay,
what
let
the
me put
point.
it
Mhm,
let
go
me put
ahead.
it to you this way. Nobody has ever
Put you in that
not
situation.
contributed to that extent that I would not give them full marks. I mean, it has never gone to that
Right, so
extreme that I
it
would.
hasn't, right, so it hasn't happened to you in the context of group work, right? That's
Yeah.
like if you're doing peer evaluations, but this is not a peer
Right.
evaluation. Let's say you end up as a mediator, all right?
Okay.
Your job as the mediator is to evaluate the 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 quality of the debate team's contributions to the debate. And from your activities, you have to determine a winner or loser, as well as whether or not there's no winner or loser where there's just kind of drawn from to each other. Now, I've had situations like that happen before in previous debates, but there are
I
lots
have
of
to.
other, yeah.
So then the mediators would need to develop a marking scheme to evaluate the.
Correct, so that it reduces the subjectivity, and the same would apply for the the debaters themselves, because now they're going to turn around and mark you guys as the mediators. They're going to evaluate your effectiveness as the people who ran the meeting. So they're also in a quandary. they are also going to need an instrument, and I'm not going to leave you all, by yourselves with that. I'm going to provide some guidance in those things, and of course, you have to provide guidance as the mediators to the debating teams of how the debate is going to take place, how are people going to, um, make their contributions or or ask questions or bring up queries, that kind of stuff. So there's some work for us to do beyond just engaging in the debate activity. We also have to develop the mechanisms and the evaluation tools and make sure that everybody. So there's a lot of responsibilities, and it's going to be your responsibility to experience what it's like. So I'm going to give you two practical experiences. One, the practical experience of teaching the class as a small group. And two, the practical experience of being ethical in your decision making in the context of another group, but a different group and slightly larger. So you're going to get a lot of practical work taking place in this class alongside a lot of personal reflection and personal analysis that's taking place in this class. So this class has no exam, but this class is a difficult class because it requires you to take a very hard look at yourself and evaluate yourselves in the context of leadership and in the context of your values. As we begin to go through the content of this class, you'll begin to get it. Next week, I think we have a class. I think we have classes next week, right? The 5th?
Okay.
Yes, we have our first class on the 5th and the 19th, because I think after the 5th,
Okay. Yeah.
after the 5th, we have to take a break for Carnival because that's Carnival week. And as I said before, the school is closed from the 9th to the 14th. So we can't have classes on the thing. So I have a session with you all on the 5th where I'm going to do chapter 1. Then I'm back on the 19th and the 26th to do chapter 2 and chapter 3 as per the schedule of February. You all seeing that there?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Oh, Jada's still hanging outside there. All right. So that's what I mean when I say this class is going to be a lot of practical work. Hopefully it's not going to be stressful, but it should be an eye-opening experience for you guys. And as we go through the various chapters, you'll begin to see the model that we're going to be looking at and that kind of stuff. All right. Anybody else has any questions they want to ask? Any clarification that they want to get?
Not at this time.
All right. That's you, right? Anybody else? No?
No, sir, it's pretty straightforward and good understanding.
All right. So what I want people to do is to kind of go through the schedule, look at chapter 1. Now, there are two ways to look at chapter 1. You could actually just download the text and read it, or you can go through on the e-classroom the PowerPoint presentation that is there, because that's the tool I'm going to be utilizing when I go through it with you guys on the first chapter. Now, there are two elements. There's a video that I had done from a while back where I presented it to another class, and I taped it and I loaded it there. I will also be taping the one I do with you guys, just in case people miss the class again, so that they can catch up on the chapter presentations as they go. But as I said before, what's going to happen as we do recordings, your recordings and my recordings are going to start populating the various blocks of this e-class. And by the end of this semester, we'll have this fully developed e-classroom as well. So that's part of what our responsibilities are. We are actually going to build the e-classroom together by working on each of the components that make up the various elements of the teaching elements. So for those of you who prefer to sit back in a class and kind of coast in the background, you're in a bad class for that. So all right, this class is going to call you up front and center very often to do things. All right, and more importantly, it's going to call on you guys to to engage in a lot of self-analysis and self-reflection in the context of leadership and leadership exercises. All right. Anybody else has any questions they want to ask, clarification-wise? All right. So then, yes, Nicholas. All right. For those of you who may be familiar with the other people from the group, um, let me know if you all are able by next week. Give me some feedback as to your groupings, if you're able to touch base with the people from your group, especially the people in the last group where we have so many absentee people. Um, so I think Mona Lisa is already in our e-classroom on the WhatsApp chat, but I'm not so sure about Mahindra and Brandon Owen. So and well, Clark is kind of in and out, so we're gonna have to watch that group kind of hard to make sure that everybody kind of pulls together in that chapter. All right, but just give me an update. Make sure that everybody is meeting and at least had touch base. So you all don't. Some of you all don't need to start your chapter presentations yet, but at least touch base with each other and okay, hey, we on for this chapter presentation on this date and so on, so that you all kind of pull each other together, that kind of stuff. All right. So I'll be asking about that next week, as well as getting into the introduction chapter on chapter 1 for next week as well. All right, guys. Okay. I hope we have a great semester together, guys. I'm looking forward. Every time I do this course, I learn more and more about people and dealing with things. So hopefully we'll have an interesting and enjoyable semester together as we start to explore the different concepts that we're going to get involved with in this course. All right. Okay. So for me, that's as much as I need, and I could stop the recording now, and I'll post it onto the e-classroom for those people who may miss it or may have missed today's class. All right. With that being said, I'd say good night to everybody.
Okay, good night.